Hey guys, just wanted to update you on a few changes to the schedule. I know we'd promised to do a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu podcast with Jason and Darren and some of the other instructors for the Jiu-Jitsu department, which we will still inevitably do. We've just been delayed a lot because of scheduling conflicts, things like that. We have some exciting news coming out of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu department, changes to some schedules, classes added, but can't quite say too much until all the information and all the details are ironed out. Also, today's discussion with Todd, we originally said would be on the topic of Masters athletes, but with so much good stuff to chat about, especially in CrossFit and Todd's experience, we just kept the conversation casual and just went with wherever the conversation took us. So hope you enjoy, but we will have that conversation later specific to Masters athletes. So please feel free to continue submitting any questions or topics that you would like to hear discussed on today's podcast.
There's just so many things that you can learn, which is now fine-tune this thing called CrossFit. CrossFit itself now, I think it always has been very elegant and will drive adaptation, but with the layering of education and correct coaching and movement patterns and ideas and methods and principles, that's where CrossFit has changed to be like the best training program in the world.
Alrighty, well, 3, 2, 1, go. And we're back. Episode 4. Still haven't been canceled. I don't know if you've had enough opinion yet to get canceled. You have to kind of...
This might be the
This could be the one. Todd, if you have too many opinions, you might get us canceled.
Yeah. Hard truths, right?
Yes, the hard truth will get you. Alright, well, Coach Matt here with the Podmother Nina. Say hi.
Hi, how are you?
And Coach Todd Wise joining us today. So, if you don't know, for some of the people listening to this, Todd is, well, he'll explain, I'm sure, in a second, but coached all over. He's got a lot of experience coaching, but for some of the members, you kind of call him one of those games coaches, or what? No, everyone refers to you guys as the games team.
The games team.
That's what people have been calling you behind your backs.
Yeah.
Well, apparently it sounds like you're in it.
I gotta be in it.
You're in it now.
Yeah, I'm in it now.
So, give us an update of where you're at. Since you got here, a little background on what got you here.
We'll give you the quick cliff notes of what I've done. So I started in martial arts, coached that for 12 years, 3rd degree black belt, did Taekwondo, national champion, fought with, it's like semi-contact, so headgear, feet gear, gloves. Did that for a really long time, went to college, quit martial arts, played a little bit of lacrosse on the West Coast though, so not like the East Coast lacrosse. We were terrible.
Oh, so East Coast. I wouldn't know that. I don't know lacrosse very well.
East Coast lacrosse is probably the best. It's like hockey, right? They're really, really good here, and Canadians. Same thing with lacrosse. West Coast, we kind of played around. It was a club team. But it was fun. So that's kind of where I got into actual strength and conditioning, was on the lacrosse team. Graduated, worked at an online company, hated it, wanted to get back to teaching movement because I was coaching martial arts and realized how much I loved it. So I started personal training at 24 Hour Fitness. Everyone kept telling me to do this CrossFit thing for a long time. This was like 2008, 2009. I was like, no, seen it on the internet. And obviously you knew what it looked like in 2008.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I had a huge bias. I was like, there's no way, you shouldn't be doing high reps and high volume. I knew who Chris Spieler was, and it's like, okay, like it was kind of cool, but I just didn't want to get involved. And then 2011, there was a personal trainer at the gym. His name was Jeff, and he convinced me to finally go do CrossFit class, which, like everybody else, you're like, oh, I'm falling in love with CrossFit. Did my one class, and everyone's got their workout. Ours was like shoulder overhead at 115 and burpees over the bar. And it was like, I think 21:15.9.
That was
most
your first
classic
workout?
Yeah.
That's pretty nice. I think the first workout I ever got was Angie. I was like a total bro, so I was like, I can do push-ups and pull-ups.
Yeah.
Bit the.
And then he died.
Then I died. Somewhere around the sit-ups, I started getting hamstring cramps. So I didn't even get into the air squats before it got bad.
Oh my
I don't know.
gosh.
I think I've done Angie and Barbara, and one of them I threw up on once. So those are bad workouts. But anything high volume, body weight stuff is pretty rough. Yeah, so from there, like anybody else, I started coaching a little bit more CrossFit with people.
I'm pulling my microphone for a second.
That's right. Hopefully I got all of it.
I think we're all that kind.
Yeah, so I enjoyed it and started coaching CrossFit more with my personal training clients at 24 Hour Fitness. And then Jeff and I decided to open an affiliate. So in 2013, we opened our first affiliate, Sundown CrossFit in California, about 2 miles from NC Fit, NorCal CrossFit at the time.
Oh, good. That's convenient.
Yeah, so good.
Why not compete with the best?
Yeah, it was great with Jason. But you know what? Really had a good relationship with those guys in general. They're very competitive as business is concerned, but we were able to go over there and train and all kinds of stuff. So it was really good.
I followed a lot of Jason Khalipa stuff, like his business advice. Kevin's a big fan. The idea of competing with Jason Khalipa in any aspect of life seems daunting.
He definitely is that way. So then grew and then sold in 2016. I was actually going to go work for CrossFit Invictus in Southern California because my dad lives in San Diego. And when I was going through the interview process, CJ was like, you need to just open an affiliate. Like, you could come coach here, but you may not be satisfied just because where I was at in my coaching career and everything else. Mm-hmm. During that time, I coached a couple regional athletes from my gym. I was on the regional team in 2014. So really into competitive CrossFit. Had a relationship with Michael Caju, the owner of Brute Strength, and Adrian and those guys. So like just cultivating and developing that relationship. And then 2016, after the meeting with CJ, I was like, okay, we're going to affiliate the garage. And so we affiliated the garage. And then 2 months later, we found a space and opened up CrossFit Currahee in Campbell. Similar area where Sundown was. Just sold that right after like COVID opened up. So sold it to another business partner. He's running it now. He's the Cal Strength weightlifting masters coach. So we've worked with Cal Strength, had a lot of experience there. During the time, I coached for Brute Strength Training. So I got hired by them in 2017.
I don't think I exactly know what Brute Strength Training is.
Yeah, so they're an online training company very similar to Invictus or Training Think Tank or OPEX, Big Dogs, Misfit Athletics.
Okay.
Individualized one-on-one programming, also group model style, but for competitive athletes who want to compete in the sport of fitness.
So they're not a brick and mortar building per se, or
some of them are, some of them aren't. So Brute was not completely online. We didn't have a physical location, so we all had gyms. So we would either travel and have, I guess you'd say, employee meetings at each other's gyms, do camps, that kind of stuff. So, but it was all online.
Cool.
And that was pretty interesting. Phenomenal experience. Coached the games. Coached a couple games athletes. Yeah, had a lot of fun with that. Coached some people at Sanctionals in 2019, also in 2020 pre-COVID. Just had a lot of really good experiences and fun, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. Those guys are great.
It's great.
Yeah.
So you got to Rochester, just moving back to get with family?
Yeah. So my wife, Marissa, she played basketball for IIT, also some other schools as well. And because she changed schools because she tore her ACL a couple of times in college. But yeah, her family is here. Her dad, Mike Myrano, used to own the Greater Rochester Chiropractic. And her family's here, brothers here, played basketball here. Big basketball family. Her dad, assistant coaches at RIT, the women's basketball team. And we were planning on moving back before COVID anyways. It was just not really flushed out as far as the plan of when we were going to get back here. So eventually we're going to get back here. COVID expedited that process, which I'm super thankful for. And we lived with her parents for the year of COVID, which was interesting and fun.
Wow.
And we trained in a barn that's like a storage space that her dad had. And then we recently bought a house. So we just bought the house January. Yeah.
Cool. And your garage is an actual affiliate.
Yes, yeah.
CrossFit affiliate.
So in the sale of the affiliate in California, because of what happened with CrossFit, they weren't going to re-affiliate. Okay. And I believe in CrossFit really deeply. So I was like, okay, that's fine. I want the affiliate then. So in the sale of the gym, I kept the affiliate. They stayed in a fitness style gym. And then when Eric Rosa took over, they re-affiliated. So they're now an affiliate, and we're still an affiliate. light at the end of the tunnel with everything from there, which was good. But regardless of what Glassman said, I don't agree with anything he said, but I believe in CrossFit.
Of course,
and so I stuck to CrossFit because I deeply, strongly believe in it.
I remember during that fallout, Kevin and I talked, and like a lot of the gyms and stuff were, dropping their affiliates, and athletes didn't want to compete. And we kind of took that same approach. It was like, well, all right, clearly what he had said was out of line in a lot of ways, but that didn't change the methodology, didn't change the way we're helping people. And like, we still believe in this program enough to, we're going to stick with our affiliation. We're going to be CrossFit, because that doesn't change just because, the person theoretically at the top,
and it's hard because they don't represent you, and they don't represent each individual affiliate and like the ethos of that affiliate and what they believe and their structure and their community. So I think it was a way out for some affiliates, because I think a lot of affiliates are upset with the laissez-faire approach. There's a lot of stuff that I think people overlooked for paying their like whatever it was, $5,000 to $3,000 depending on when you became an affiliate.
Right.
But like you can use you can copy and paste anything from the CrossFit Journal onto your website and not get in trouble for plagiarism because you've paid the $3,000 to CrossFit.
Trust me, our nutrition daily blog is filled with CrossFit Journal articles that I did not write, guys. I know it sounds like I'm brilliant sometimes, but no.
And so they allow you to do that. They allow you to use all their assets, graphics, video. So there's a lot more perks to being an affiliate than just like slapping the CrossFit name on the wall. It's whether you as the affiliate owner choose to use them or not. That's really up to you.
Okay, so I got a couple questions for you. So you'd seen CrossFit when it was poo-poo in the shoe, when it was like gym meme videos, what I mean? It wouldn't look too good. What is different now? Like, what do you see as the biggest difference? Because a lot of people think that that's still how it is, because they'll see the spoof videos, the gym fails, and especially if you go to some of the smaller local competitions with not very experienced athletes, you can collect a lot of fail videos. And obviously, we tell our membership all the time, that competition is not the purpose of why we're here.
Right.
But you do a lot of competing. Yeah. And you've also run a lot of gyms. So where do you find the balance? What is different? What makes you love it so much, like you were saying?
Well, let's start with like the poor technique, or like the memes that come out of CrossFit. That happened early on because, like anything in life, people didn't understand it. And yes, people were doing it poorly. That's because we didn't have as much education as we do now. The invention of podcasts, the invention of the internet, YouTube has changed, I think, learning in a lot of ways. OPEX has changed learning for coaches. Things like going and getting your USAW level 1 if you go for a good coach. Like if you go take a Cal Strength in California with Dave Spitz, you're going to become one of the best weightlifting coaches because he's one of the best weightlifting coaches in the nation. And so the seminars, Chris Hinshaw, you could go down the list of education that's come out of CrossFit. At the time, in like 2008, there wasn't enough education. So you had this like weird split between people who strength and conditioning, like CSCS, or you had a degree in kinesiology or whatever. And then you have these guys doing CrossFit who are saying the exact opposite of what traditional education are going to tell you to do. What has happened now is the marrying of the two. So there's like Training Think Tank has a very good educational system called the Classroom that they've been doing for a long time. This guy Evan Pycon does a lot of Moxie monitor reading, which is blood oxygen saturation in the muscle while training. Well, that process of monitoring the muscle while training also happens in strength and conditioning, and the research they've been doing for years to figure out how to make people fitter, faster, stronger, better, stave off metabolic disease and risk of all kinds of things that would lead to early onset death, right?
Yeah.
So they've been doing all this research, and we get all of this information, and then it goes into training protocols. And so with the education, the ideas of new training protocols, all of these seminars where you can learn, like Dave Durante doing gymnastics, Power Monkey, you can learn so much from them about how to do gymnastics correctly. You can learn all kinds of things with Chris Hinshaw and Dark Horse Rowing. There's just so many things that you can learn, which is now fine-tuned this thing called CrossFit. CrossFit itself now, I think, it always has been very elegant and will drive adaptation. But with the layering of education and correct coaching and movement patterns and ideas and methods and principles, that's where CrossFit has changed to be like the best training program in the world. And I haven't really seen anything that can even touch it. And I say that I was actually a Lululemon ambassador for 2 years. When you're a Lululemon ambassador, they send you all these camps in the community. And so I've been to SoulCycle, I've been to Orange Theory, I've done all these classes. I love fitness in general, but nothing touches the way that CrossFit will change your state. Now, there are facets. If you combined a ton of things, like say you did yoga, SoulCycle, F45, and you power lifted in your garage, you would then have everything that CrossFit gives you.
Yeah, I'm in this coaches call every week, and we have discussions on topics just like this. And so when we talk about like the other types of facilities that are running those kind of programs, it's like they have a purpose. They're better than nothing.
Correct.
But it's kind of like having an all appetizer, but no meat, no meat and potatoes, no dinner.
Right.
It's just like you're nibbling and you're having pieces of what could be a meal, but you're never getting the whole meat, potatoes, sit down, get what you need to be full, and move on with your day.
Right.
Type of training.
Yeah.
So
it's tough because I don't want to like downplay those things because I actually love things like Orange Theory and SoulCycle and like the new like rowing house stuff, because what that does is it creates a huge aerobic base.
Absolutely.
If you take any, and I hate to like say like the mom, but for whatever reason, moms like to take those classes. Sorry if that's a blanket statement, but that in my experience, those are the
damn it, we're canceled. I know. That's it. I knew you fucking ruined it, Todd.
Those are the types of people that, in my experience, especially in Silicon Valley, where I've coached for many years, the moms enjoy aerobic work. But then you get them into CrossFit, and they can do workouts like Helen with ring rows and just crush people.
Yeah.
Because the aerobic contraction is so easy for them because they've spent years and years and years doing aerobic work. So, but they're not strong and powerful enough to do a pull-up, but that's okay. If you scale it down, they're still getting the benefit. The problem with that is then they never get strong and powerful enough if you don't apply the stimulus of strength.
Right.
And then it limits their capacity across broad times and modal domains. So they can do only certain things. But that's a better base than having, in my opinion, having somebody who played football come in who can power clean 315 but can't run a mile in 6 minutes. Like, I'd rather have the person who can run the mile in 6 minutes and can't power clean than the other way around, personally.
As an athlete to develop, or just if you had to be that person?
Both.
To be healthy?
Both.
Yes, yeah.
Both.
Okay. I mean,
yeah. So what people don't realize, and there's a strong argument for this, everything is aerobic.
Yeah.
And when you can figure that out, you'll understand that aerobic comes first and then strength. Because, so like, a good example, people have done Grace. Grace is 30 clean and jerks for time. Why do people stop?
Because they get out of breath.
And they get out of breath,
burn.
right?
So
what's happening is oxygen, if you understand the Krebs cycle, comes in and clears all that metabolic waste. So if you occlude, which what happens is when the muscle gets so tight and you get that pump, there's no oxygen going in and there's no waste going out because you're not aerobic enough to clear that muscle. When you're aerobic enough to clear the muscle, you can continue to do things unbroken. So again, I go back to the mom example who does Orange Theory and loves it, or SoulCycle. She'll come in and you'll watch her just like go unbroken, go unbroken, go unbroken, never stop, never stop. Give her a heavy weight, she now occludes because that strength, it doesn't allow her and she gets pumped. So if you can get her strong and layer it on top of her aerobic system, her body will adapt quicker than the person who can power clean and now has to spend 2 years doing aerobic work. Because it's easy to get strong, it's hard to get aerobic.
Hey, Kevin, stop listening right now and don't get any ideas about hiring Todd here to replace me, okay? That'd be great. Thank you. No, that was awesome. I was just like, wow. Some of these things I feel like I know inherently, but I can't verbalize as well as you just did. That is like awesome.
Yeah, if you've coached CrossFit long enough, you see it. And when I start talking about it, people are like, oh, I see that every day.
Exactly. It's like, I know the things, especially when you're describing how CrossFit has changed the education. I'm like, I know that to be true. I've just not been able to put it to words as well. Yeah. And that was awesome to hear.
I spent a lot of time trying to do that.
Yeah, I mean, and good for you. You do it well. I mean, especially as you probably work, some of the athletes you work with are so advanced. They need that kind of level.
Yeah, that's where I learned how to articulate it, because you can't coach somebody who's the fittest on earth, or like damn near the closest to the fittest on earth, and not understand those things, because then they don't buy in to what you're talking about.
So, for example, your wife was, what, 300 something in the world? Or
yeah, I believe. I don't know. They don't do the leaderboard that way anymore. She's 206 in North America.
Okay, North America. 206th.
For the quarterfinals.
In North America.
And then in the world for the Open, she was 300.
Yeah, I mean, that's
pretty fit.
Fucking fit.
Yeah.
That's okay. So some of what you're saying is allegedly working.
Yeah.
Well, what do you personally, like on a personal level, like CrossFit so much? You said you love it.
Yeah, so I hate the workouts, but I love what it gives you. I don't know. That's a hard question, because I think everybody loves CrossFit for a different reason. I think majority of people like CrossFit because it is hard. I don't like CrossFit because it's hard. I like CrossFit, again, because of what it gives you. And I've competed.
What does it give you?
So an opportunity to establish human dominance.
Shit. Is that all?
Well, and that sounds weird, but think so my background in sport and almost my whole life since I was 8 years old is you punch and kick another human being for points.
Yeah.
And I did that till I was 22 years old. So my psychology around that is very different than most people. And it's not a negative, aggressive, and wrestlers I think have a similar idea around that. I'm not out to get into street fights.
Right.
You learn that really quickly, but because you know that most people who are not trained, if you get in an altercation, I know that I'm going to the end. If we're gonna fight in the street, it's going to the end, and I'm gonna win. Because it's not safe to do that, and you shouldn't, as a human being, doing that. But people do it, and I don't know why. I haven't figured that part out yet. But as you train, it's a weird, sick gratification, letting the air out of another human being. You experience something different, and until you do that in your life, I don't know, in a structured, confined setting that's teaching self-discipline and respect for others, it's an interesting thing, and I think everyone should do some type of combat sport in their life.
Yes. I dabble a little bit with jiu-jitsu, and when our jiu-jitsu program restarts up, I will be really learning that. I've read a couple books over the quarantine.
Yeah.
That just made me realize wow, how much I was dabbling.
Yeah.
And I'm wow, there's so much more I could be getting out of this sport that we have available every single day here that I can't wait to get involved in. But it's because of the same stuff you're talking about. Not in an aggressive, I want to hurt someone, but something psychologically, gratifying about winning the chess match battle, whether it's in your own mind or even against the other person physically. Doing a lot of physical battles, Nina?
Me? Not anymore. I used to fight my sisters all the time, but...
How good did it feel? Especially when you win.
I usually win. They're all bigger than me.
Okay. That is correct. So, wow. So along the way, you must have developed a bit of a training philosophy. So if you're
yep.
How does your personal training philosophy differ from athlete to athlete, or the gym setting versus your competition level athletes?
It doesn't. I don't think it differs.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, when an athlete is done competing, they still need to pursue health and fitness. And I think some athletes don't do that. And you see that in other sports. You don't just see that in CrossFit. And that to me is pretty tragic, because fitness itself, or changing your state to be healthy and function appropriately and on all cylinders, it needs to be a lifelong endeavor until the day they put you in the ground. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people don't think about that. There's a ton of things that have happened with COVID that are terrible, but I think one thing that's really good that came out of it, if people are aware and paying attention, is that vaccines or no vaccines, the one thing you can do to help yourself in this situation is be fit and healthy and get rid of comorbidities, get rid of your obesity, have your aerobic system work better, have your glycolytic system work better, eat healthy foods, go to sleep at a certain time, wake up at a certain time, get an hour of sun every day, do all the right things so you can enjoy life. And whether you're enjoying life or you're enjoying competition, they go hand in hand. They're the same thing, it's just in different degrees. And realistically, like I've seen some members come in for an hour a day, take our class for years, who are very fit, have a six pack, eat right, care about their family, have full-time jobs, have kids, and they're not going to be the fittest on earth, but their numbers in the open or at a local competition are nothing to like kind of bat an eye at. They're very powerful individuals who have worked really hard for any accolade that they get physically, and they have a great home life and everything else, and they're thriving in their job and they're loving it. The difference is people want to take competition to a greater degree, so they make sacrifices to. I don't coach anyone who has kids that sacrifices their kids or their job, but some people who don't have kids will abstain from having children to compete for a little bit longer, or money. They won't take job opportunities because they want to compete more because they have freedom to train in the middle of the day. And I don't think those things are negative if that's your goal, right? Some people want to buy a Tesla, and some people want to compete at the CrossFit Games. Those two goals are the same goal. People just don't realize that they are. Because you have to make choices, I don't like the word sacrifice, choices to get what you want. And in the context of being a competitive athlete, the choice is to sleep, work less, not get paid as much, like your bank account's smaller, more modest, but you're trying to be the fittest you can be. And someone wants to buy a Tesla, you're working really hard.
It's all in the theoretical pursuit of happiness, right? So, like, I mean, Tesla, no Tesla, I mean, people that are dirty and poor are very happy. People that are rich are miserable assholes.
You can pick whatever thing you want.
Analogy, whatever you want. Yeah, of course. Yeah,
I just like the Tesla because I feel like a lot of people like Teslas. I don't know. I don't like Teslas, but
if they weren't so obvious, I wouldn't even know what one looked like. But when you see one, it's something doesn't fit in on this road. But I've never been a.
That's also because we're in Rochester.
True. There's a lot of Teslas in Silicon Valley.
No,
we're getting there.
I see them around more and more all the time in Rochester. But I mean, heck, I've never really been a car person. I like my truck, but not that much. If somebody stole it, I'd just be like, oh, I guess I got another one or whatever.
Right. And that goes back to like what you're saying. If you're pursuing something in life that you really love that gives you value in the process of what you're doing, it's worth doing. And I think a lot of people lose that in their life.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people like, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, or you should have kids now, get married now, go to school now. No, you shouldn't be an elite athlete, or you should play in the NBA. Like, you can go which way with all of these things that other people say, but at the end of the day, it's like, what do you want to do? What do you want to spend your time doing? Because that's the only thing we have in life that is actually a true commodity. And if you're going to spend it trying to compete to go to the CrossFit Games, or you want to spend it doing anything else, that's fine, as long as it's going to push you forward and like change you a little bit.
So as health and fitness coaches, like you probably had situations where you see someone who they really should be healthy, or the things they should be doing for their health. When you see those people that just don't seem to have the right mindset or approach to the way they're treating their own health and wellness, what would you say to them, or how would you approach? When they don't value their health like we think they should, or in theory, like we know they should.
Right. Well, the one thing you have to remember is, as a CrossFit coach or a gym owner or just even a gym goer, the people that walk through the door, they came in because most of them, almost all of them, come through the door because they want to get healthy. Now, I know CrossFit is like, community and all that. You get those things on its own. You get 10 people in the room, you're going to get community and all these other things. But when they go to your website and Google you because they're looking for fitness, and they're looking for a coach, that's what they really want.
So they just wanted to look better naked.
Lots of people do. Oh. Like, that's why they're
that's what we've been going for. I could be wrong.
But so they come in and those people want to change. If you're talking about people around you who don't go to like a CrossFit gym or a gym or try to change their state.
Life in general.
Yeah, I don't say anything. I let it ride. Because they're not ready until they're ready.
Yeah. I kind of do the same exact thing, but I was kind of like, man, I wish I could do something. I was hoping maybe you had the answers. But.
No, it's doing stuff like this, like the podcast. Yeah. And then hopefully someone will hear it and go, oh, my friend so-and-so really needs to hear this. And maybe they'll share it and something resonates with them. And then they're in the gym 2 days later.
You can hope, yeah.
So,
yeah.
You're doing your part already.
I hope. The whole reason we even started this was just to try to get more information into the hands, try to be clear on our own message here at the gym and, provide better quality service so people could, because the things that like I've lived out, and I was going to ask you more specifically, even, you sort of answered the question.
Yeah.
But you sort of didn't.
Yeah.
Why do you love CrossFit?
Yeah, so I didn't answer the question, but honestly, like, it's multi-layered of why I do CrossFit and why I like CrossFit.
Never a simple answer, right?
Yeah.
Why can't I do a muscle up? Well,
yeah. For me personally, yes, it's looking better naked. It's feeling healthy. It's like, I want to live to teach my kids things. I want to be the dad, like when we have kids, that does things with their kids. I don't want to be the dad that, my dad can't do that, or my dad doesn't come out. Like, we have these friends that are superhuman parents. One of them I coach as a master's. He's going to be doing the age group online qualifier, and he finished 119th in his age group. And they have 3 kids, and they just went to like the bounce house place or trampoline, I guess you bounce around.
Yeah.
And the other kids are like, oh, well, moms don't bounce, and the mom is a badass. Like, and she's a fitness instructor, and they do CrossFit, and they're friends with Scott Panchek, and so you can imagine this picture, and like the parents are bouncing on the trampolines doing backflips with their kids, and they're in their 40s. That is why I do CrossFit, to be that person one day. And, but then also to lead by example for athletes. Like, I don't want to ask an athlete to kill themselves on a rowing machine to increase their VO2 max and then be a hypocrite and not do something like that for myself. The intensities are relative, but I'm not going to not do it because that's not fair. Like, I can't ask people to do that and not try, Yeah. And then the other thing is, we always talk about with athletes, it shapes their mindset a little bit of like, be the athlete you can be, and be the athlete you want to be. So CrossFit has allowed me to embody that more, and it's given me a window to like keep pushing every day. So I'm gonna be 35 next year for the Masters stuff, and it's like my Garmin tells me,
me too.
Congratulations.
Can't wait to get to that age group.
Yeah, not really though, because there's guys in there that like,
Todd, next year's gonna be my year. Haven't you heard?
Yeah.
Next
Kyle
year's gonna be my year.
Like, we go down the list.
Now you're just
I'm gonna have fun, but I mean, it's funny because like my Garmin will tell me I'm 20 years old, like my fitness age, and it's just stuff like that like it reinforces the good habits every day. It motivates me to be healthier and fitter and lead by example in that way. And like, again, I don't like CrossFit as far as the workouts because it's so terrible. Like, literally an hour ago, we did 6 rounds of 30 worm shoulder overhead and 2 rope climbs with a 15-minute time cap, and like we barely made it under. And they're like, they weren't screaming at me, but I was dying because I'm the weak link. And but like when it's over, it's just like, okay, like there's something to get better at. Like, you're not there yet, and that's like fuels me up every day.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it is strange. The every time I've figured out that I think I might be getting sort of good at this thing.
Yeah.
You find the next thing to be bad at it first, and then all of a sudden get a little better at it, and then CrossFit's funny like that. They just keep inventing ways to challenge yourself.
They've always been there. It's whether or not you're aware.
What do you mean? In 2017, dumbbells were introduced for the first time, right?
Oh, yeah, sure.
That was the first time I've seen a dumbbell.
No, 2002, I'm sure they were on .com.
Yeah, probably could be, yeah. Cool. Oh, gosh. What do you have for him? My mind is taking it all in. I'm trying to think of my next question. So, what is something sorry, you can cut this out. But one of the questions, again, some of these questions are for our members. Some of these questions are just generally for me, and everyone else can listen in on the answer.
All right.
But like, I've been coaching now full-time for about 10 years, just shy of 10 years.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, I didn't always do CrossFit. I didn't CrossFit seriously until about 15 and 16, those years. And then it's been straight commitment since.
Yeah.
But I've learned a lot of things doing the other sports, doing the other types of training, things like that, and I've learned a lot about people, things I never would have appreciated younger. I might not have appreciated today had I not experienced certain conversations that got on a personal level with an athlete that showed me things like, wow, this is not about weights and times, and or, it's not about even fat loss. It's about people being able to live with themselves on an emotional level and all sorts of things. And those are things I never would have thought when I got into doing personal training as a hobby to make some extra side cash part-time for my other job that I would have done. And I used to work as a therapist in an addiction treatment center for kids. So I thought I had an understanding of humans, the brain and everything. So what are some things maybe that, something just like comes to mind that you have learned from coaching that you never would have expected?
Every single person, there's two things I think. And if you like, you're listening to this podcast, so if you like podcasts, there's Adam Grant, and he has a conversation with Brene Brown, who is daring greatly and vulnerability and all those things. And she went on his podcast, and they talk about vulnerability and how actually a lot of people have gotten what she said wrong and misconstrued, which is really cool. And she kind of sets the record straight a little bit. Not that her book is not correct. Her book is correct, but people, I think, took what they wanted out of it to defend themselves, to put up a shield. And I've seen that forever, whether that's fitness or nutrition, anything. People are afraid of failing, and they don't want to fail in life, and it's something that's very shameful. And people just run it to be a dead horse of, woe's me, I feel bad for myself, I have a lot of shame, I failed at that, I suck at wall balls, and you go down the list of things that people say, or tracking my food is so hard, I don't like vegetables, I don't like the taste of water. There's so many things that people say, and I get those things, but at the end of the day, it's I think that what I've learned, and when you really dive deep with people, is that they're afraid that if they put everything into it, they're going to fail, and once they put everything in, they're like, well, I really did fail. Because if you don't drink water, or you don't eat vegetables, or you don't sleep enough, you now have an excuse of why you're overweight or sick. Mm-hmm. And if you do those things, your excuse goes away. And I think people are afraid of that. And I've learned that over the years. And so as a coach, it's breaking through those things and letting people know that it's okay to fail in that way and fail greatly. You have to set yourself up for the biggest failure of your life. Because I've never seen anybody just completely fail to the point where there's no coming back. I've never seen that happen. And I think a lot of people do think that's going to happen, but it doesn't. If you put everything into it, honestly, and the work, and whatever it is your goal is, if you want to lose weight, or you want to be better at CrossFit, or you want to have a better marriage, a better family, if you put everything you can into it, you're not going to fail. And that's the power of the human being. And CrossFit is a microcosm of that. Because no one has ever been I want to do toes to bar. And they come in and they run the progressions and they get stronger and they work on everything and they're meticulous about it and they hit every session and they don't miss a session and they're working on their positions and everything else. No one's never got a toe to bar.
Right.
They get the toe to bar.
Yeah.
The people who don't come in or aren't consider about their positioning and they're not listening to their coach and they run late, well, those people don't get the toe to bar.
What do you think about people who self-sabotage?
That's 100% what I'm explaining.
It's So okay, you're about to go.
Because they're afraid of failing, so then they don't do the things because then they have an excuse. They're just
yes.
Oh, this is why I didn't do it. Versus, I did everything I could, and I still can't do it. And as coaches, I think we're always trying to find the solution.
I think what my question should have been is when people are self-sabotaging, like you're describing, where do you think that comes from, or what is there an underlying cause that you can almost as a coach root out from the athlete or the client to help them help themselves? Have you cracked that code yet?
It's person dependent, but if you were to broad stroke, it's fear.
Yeah.
It's just in have you ever seen the Disney show Inside Out?
I don't think so.
And they have all the.
I haven't seen that one either.
It's pretty good, but they have the brains.
It's a show or
it's a cartoon. It's
it.
Disney cartoon.
Oh, I watched. I was watching Beauty and the Beast last night. I think so.
Adult lessons, kid lessons.
I watch Disney Plus plenty.
Yeah, there you go.
Inside Out. I think I've seen that on there. I never clicked it. Yeah.
And so in the brain, they classify fear, hope, and other stuff. So as much as people want to argue about it, we have very strong classified emotions and mechanisms in the brain, and people try to skirt those and they want to use whatever word they want to use, but blatantly it's rooted, it's fear. You're afraid of being judged by others, not doing the thing you want, disappointment. There's just a million reasons. Like, you don't want to get laughed at. Like, that's why people don't like public speaking. Like, there's so much research on that, and it's just a innate thing that's rooted in us, and you have to conquer that fear and figure out how to get through that. And it's different for everybody on how they get through that process.
Good stuff. Shit.
Interesting.
Very good
stuff.
So on a lighter note, what's your favorite WOD and what is your least favorite WOD?
Oh boy.
I don't know. I did like the quarterfinals workout, the handstand push-up, power clean double under, and then the handstand push-up, shoulder overhead double under. I thought that was a cool workout. I did like the wall walk double under, even though everybody hated it.
I liked it from a training perspective. Like, this is a good way to work on fitness in a way you wouldn't think of.
Yeah.
I didn't personally love doing it, but...
I like that workout because I was like, 2 things I can do.
I really hadn't been...
It's like someone coming back into the CrossFit just a couple months now.
That's
so
nice.
That's what the first workout of every open is usually like the one everyone can do no matter what, and it's just like, how much is it going to suck for you as an individual?
Yeah.
I do like Fran also, because I worked really hard at it, and I just like always wanted to get sub 230, and so like I ran progressions to just get better and specialized at Fran, and I've done that, and then last year I spent time doing 19.5, which is basically Fran, but it's the 33, 27, 21, 15, 9 thrusters and pull-ups. Because I like barely made it under the time cap, and I just wanted to get better at it. And so I ran another progression for that and got better at it.
Nice.
I like thrusters and pull-ups, even though people hate them.
Yeah.
But
I like thrusters.
You like
too.
all the things that are just you do like to struggle. That is...
Yeah, well, because I'm bad at it, so I want to get better at it.
Right.
Now I
gotta ask. What's your Fran time?
2:13.
Jesus
I have a video, but I don't know if I'll do that. Like, you have to really train for it.
Yeah.
So
we've been. Mia's been going on some dates, and I've been trying to make sure she interrogates them enough to know. Hey, this guy says he does CrossFit. Ask him his Fran time.
I would ask him.
And then if it's too good, that's a warning sign. But if it's not good enough, that's also a warning sign.
Maybe I would. I mean, those are if you're into those metrics. I would actually ask him how many days a week he goes.
Oh, sure. Let's go.
That might be a better, because then you're like learning about commitment and like dedication. It's like, okay, well, how many?
That's good advice.
How many sessions did you do last year? And if it's under, because like if you train 5 days a week, it's about 270 days of training out of like 365 days. So if it's like under 200, maybe like that might be a misalignment of like values. So it might not be. He might be a good person. If you're going to ask those types of questions, I feel like
it's all right. I already got accused of being part of the cult and the whole thing.
Yeah, that's probably not a... Yeah.
Hey, people say stuff like that to me. I don't even argue. Like, yeah, you know what? If this is a cult, I'm in one.
Well,
and
technically,
okay.
I mean, I guess by definition it is, because it has its own language and verbiage. It hits all the markers.
Yep, it does hit all the markers. The only thing that keeps it from being a religion is we don't worship an individual person.
Yeah.
So we could actually be a religion.
I actually call going to the gym going to church. So
yeah, makes you cry a little. Yeah. You feel feelings.
You do feel feelings.
That's almost made me cry before.
In a positive way, like
box jumps.
No, what are you talking? Oh, because yeah, that's true. I was really encouraging her in a positive way. I wasn't fucking yelling at her, but I was like, we were working it up like an inch at a time.
Yeah.
But eventually we got to that 1 inch too many.
Right.
And I'm like, it's mental, right?
It's fear.
Listen, there's too many fail videos on Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, you guys do have the wood boxes,
fear.
So I understand. That.
We had a couple members that brought in their own box the other day because they have the cushiony ones.
Yeah. That's okay.
You know what? After seeing them, like the way that people are landing on the softer boxes, I was kind of like, oh man, we really should get some of those. But we just built out an entire gym in the last 6 months.
They are expensive.
Those are on the to get list.
That's okay.
But hey, proper amount of fear induced every day is probably good for you too, right?
That's true. Some stress, cortisol.
Yeah, totally.
I will honestly, for the record, when I saw Nina get a little upset, I was like, okay. We don't have to jump in the box.
I was literally like,
no, you have
my god.
was that was a day where we were just testing out like a high box jump. What is your high? And giving them that push.
Listen, I got up the rope.
Yeah, that's something.
That's progress.
Yeah.
What's the kind of WOD that if you get stuck doing, you are just like, fuck my life?
Like every single WOD. Like the one we did today with worm and rope pass.
Oh, yeah.
Anything that, so everybody has, whether they can have like identify it or not, a functional volume threshold. And so any workout that pushes me beyond like my functional volume where it's just like you start going into shutdown, and everybody has that.
You just fail. Reps are coming apart, looking poopy. That kind of thing.
Well, I'm a good mover,
for layman's
arguably,
terms,
because of martial arts. I like pride myself on how well I move. But yeah, so I just like explode, and my heart rate's through the roof, and I have to like rest and break stuff up. But it just ends up being like, terrible. So I don't like anything that's 30 minutes long. I don't like Nancy's a good example. Like, I like running.
Oh, I like that one.
But then when you got an overhead squat and stuff, and, like, I don't know. It's hard.
I mean, I'm probably not even... I'm sure your Nancy time is faster than mine. But I love overhead squats, and it's just mechanically... I used to be... I couldn't even hold 170... Or not 100. I couldn't even hold a 75-pound bar over my head. First time I ever did Nancy. Like, it was embarrassing. It almost felt like I couldn't get down to the ball. It was a form of bodybuilding.
Why was it embarrassing?
It's just like I couldn't explain why I couldn't hold this what I thought was a light bar over my head, and I'm like,
so it hurt your ego?
Yeah, well, I was just baffled. I think at the time more than anything, I'm like, why these girls who,
Oh, was it that too?
Like,
there's all these added things.
It was hard. So, whatever the reason, I was just like fucking baffled though.
Yeah.
And so I worked it really hard to be like, this is not going to be my weakness because other people can do this. And now it's probably one of my best moves, strongest at it. I have all good mobility to hold position a long time, even for holds and things. Yeah. And I forgot where I was going with this point, but I was like, that's one I would actually love. The overhead squats, but.
Well, you love them because you worked on them.
Right, that's a good point.
And then you mastered them.
So when you gotta fit it, say you got like maybe not competitive like on the national level, but just there's a lot of local competitors, people that are pride themselves on holding themselves with the best of them, even if they're not. They might realistically know, hey, I'm never going to the games, but
they're the best relative to the people they compare themselves with.
And they're more. I think the mindset is they're trying to be the absolute best they can be, whatever that means to them. But I think Austin Malillo told me, if you just move better, you will be faster and be stronger.
Right.
Meaning, like, too many people get too sloppy too early in WODs, things like that. I wonder if you could speak to that a little bit with your experience.
Yeah, so, I mean, CrossFit's not wrong in mechanics, consistency, if and only then intensity. The problem is people love the suck. Like, most people coming to CrossFit love hurting, and they feel like there's a huge benefit there.
I think we were talking about that last week, that some people, if nothing else, are just good at suffering.
Yeah.
So we said that.
Yeah.
They may not be good at any particular movement, but they love the grind.
Yeah, I mean, it empowers you. You feel good about it, and that's a positive thing. And it's hard to get people to slow down to improve so that they could actually, like, suffer more. If they want to suffer, they could learn to suffer more if they move better. So if you like suffering, it's kind of like a counterintuitive, but you'd want to move better so then you could be better at suffering because you wouldn't have to stop. I mean, there's a ton of good movers in the space, but realistically, like moving appropriately and claiming your joint range is so valuable in longevity beyond CrossFit because you don't want to not be able to get off the toilet or have your significant other be wiping your butt when you're 80, 90 years old. And if you can keep your joints moving through full range of motion, and like everyone talks about this all the time, and there's like memes in it. Like if you look at a baby squat, they don't have any limitations. Limitations are created through the adaptations that you occur in life. So if you're sitting at a desk all the time, you're going to create an adaptation. It might not be a favorable adaptation, but you're going to create one regardless. And so the ranges that you claim are the ones that you're going to own. So if you sit in a chair all day, roll shoulders forward and everything else, like you're going to be in that position a lot. So you have to reclaim the new position or an old position that you used to have that wasn't there until it got created by the adaptation. So it goes both ways. If you're creating good adaptations like perfect squat mechanics and technique and you're getting your hips mobile and everything else, those things are going to be okay. The problem is I think people don't believe that they can be somebody who's mobile or they don't identify as somebody who moves well. And that's a big hurdle. Like, you have to get over that. And,
even as a competitive athlete, someone will describe themselves as they don't move well.
Oh, yeah, all the time. I don't move well, or I'm not aerobic enough, or I'm not strong enough.
They create that self-identity that, hey, I'm not a distance guy, or I'm not a good runner, so they just don't get better. Right?
Yeah, you hear it all over the place. You can watch YouTube and watch, like, some of the best athletes in the world. They say it all the time. Like, I was watching the, I guess, All In, Patrick Bellner and Brent Fikowski. And they, like, do this thing, and it was for the stage 1 of the CrossFit Games for 2020. And Patrick Bellner is just like, oh, I'm not, like, this, I'm not that. And I'm like, oh, man. Or Tia's mindset early on, if you watch, I think it's Decade of Fitness.
Yeah.
Or The Fittest on Earth. Whichever one, 2016, when she had the leader jersey and someone wanted to take a picture with her, that stands out to me. And she's like, oh, you might want to delete that picture later, and, like, blah, blah, blah. So even Tia, who's won so many times and so dominant, had moments in her early career of not being that athlete.
Yeah.
And once she flipped that switch of, no, I'm dominant, I'm going to be the best athlete in the world, she's now the best athlete in the world. So it was mind first, body second. And I play that game with a lot of athletes, and either athletes stay with me because of it or they don't. I'm very, like,
the
David Goggins.
Prophecy, right?
Yeah. But I like hitting it home with, like, David Goggins style, like, even though I don't really like him because he's like, wake up at 4 a.m. I think that's kind of bad for your body. But either way.
Hey, I got to teach class twice a week where I wake up at 4:15.
Well, you have an obligation. He wakes up to, like, be hard and go and do all that stuff. And I like that. I like the mindset. But, like, sometimes it's like, well, maybe you need to sleep 10 hours. Like, it's okay. But, like, there's just that mindset of you want to be tough, so work on being tough.
In David Goggins' books, he does do. I found it. I identified with it when he talked about you develop that mindset of, like, you're not going to be the one who hurts me. He's not going to let the bad things.
Right.
Nothing's going to get to him, and he had to prove it to himself, like, in a borderline psychotic way. But yeah.
But that's what'll get you there. Is like, I'm not going to be hindered by the self-identification of something that you actually aren't. You just haven't done the work to be something different. Mm-hmm. And it's like meticulous stuff. I use the shopping cart analogy all the time. Like, are you the person that puts your groceries in your car and takes your shopping cart back to where the shopping carts go, or like a shopping cart home, or do you leave it by your car? And that explains a lot about you on a really, like, low level, which people don't want to hear because they're like, oh, I'm a bad person because I don't take my shopping cart back. It's like, no, you're not a bad person. You just haven't figured out that, like, little things add up to big things. And the more you can identify these little things, and then do them automatically, it's not going to stress you out. You're going to be better at them. It's going to be easy. And then you become very efficient in everything you're doing. It's like we were training here today. We used all the 45s. And you guys have the dead stop HG plates, and you have high temps. We're putting the plates away, and I put 3 high temps down, and, like...
No, you didn't. You did.
So listen. No. So listen. I was going to put the 4th one down, so then there's 2 and 2. So when you take them off the stack, you have 2 and 2. Because
you live in a society with humans.
Oh, yeah, 100%. CJ puts the HG plate on top. Yeah, I can't believe it. So she puts it down, and I had a conversation about it.
I pet her dog and everything the other day.
And I told her, I was like, hey, man, like, that's going to define you. Like, you know?
It is, though. I know that sounds jokingly like it's still, again, one of those, like, the little things are the big things.
Right.
And for the record, I'd like to state to everyone that I not only bring my cart back, but I put my cart in the line with other carts.
Yep,
hey, I don't do everything right, but the things I do, I want some recognition for.
That's good. No, I mean, it is, it's not that much more effort. So, and just being aware, like, if you're in a class and you're putting equipment away, and as a gym owner, I'm very OCD about it. Like, I like things. If you look at, like, the pictures of our old gym, you're going to be like, oh, man, he kept a really nice gym. But I just enjoy that. I like nice things. If you look at our garage gym we have now on my Instagram, it's like, you're going to be like, oh, that's a really, like, nice area that he has. And I just like that. But it takes zero It takes zero effort for me to keep things in order because I've practiced it for years.
Yeah.
And it takes zero effort for me to tell a member, like, hey, like, we all work out here. Yeah. It'd be really nice for you if, like, you went over and there were 2 high temps instead of a high temp and an HG plate, because that's inconvenient when you put that on your bar, isn't it? And most of the times people are like, oh yeah, that kind of sucks. Like, I don't like when that happens. Well, yeah. So if you put it back that way, and guess what? If everybody else puts it back the right way, that won't happen to you, and it won't happen to anyone else. And people are like, yes, I love it. But you got to get them to buy in.
There are people that will load the high temp plate on one side and I always call it the recycled tire plate.
Yeah.
On the opposite.
Yeah.
And just lift like I'm always like, where were you raised?
No, I can't do it. I'm way too OCD for that.
Or there'll be the people that absolutely.
You know they're different weights, right? So like if you weight them on a scale,
I'm pretty sure they probably are. So like
not exactly 45 pounds, people. Just so you know.
But there'll also be people who, if they are not the exact same match, they can't. I'm not like gonna lift that. You know? Like you're back squatting, they don't have to.
That. No, I like that. But I respect it.
If you have metal plates, you turn the numbers in?
So, if you have like competition plates, technically, the weightlifting community, you have to have your nuts facing in.
Your nuts?
Yeah, because you know on one side there's nuts that screw into the competition
plates.
Oh,
those competition ones. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. I see
so anytime you're lifting, the nuts need to face in towards the collars.
But a generic barbell.
Yeah.
Generic York weights, metal ones, the old G stuff. Yeah. Numbers in or numbers out?
Numbers out because then they all sit flush to each other because the way that they're made in the
That's not what my coach, who was 70 years old in high school, told me.
Yeah.
There's like a whole niche of people who have to, and I'm one of them.
So the metal cast, though, because the flat side, it'll sit on the rim better on the other side.
Yeah, bullshit. I can't believe it.
You could ask Rogue Fitness; they'll tell you. We've ruined so much equipment because like people anvil barbells and stuff, and like it takes a beating. If you run, we were running 8 classes to 10 classes a day at 15 to 25-ish people. That's a lot of people through the doors every day. If people are just hammering the plates, so like we would email Rogue and see if they would uphold their warranties. And if it was within the year, most of the time they would. But sometimes they would email us back with like videos of like, don't take the plates off like this. This is how they get ruined. And I appreciated it, but they're very like, they know what goes on with the equipment and they're not dumb.
Yeah. So when people have like a 10-pound plate on their
bar. Well, no, this is important. Hold on. Because if you're a member at a gym, you're costing your gym member or your gym owner more money to replace that equipment because Rogue's not going to help you out. So be nicer to your equipment because, a gym membership is pretty inexpensive compared to the price you pay for equipment. So if you go online, like, you'll understand. Most of our members, we tell them all the time, go online, check out how much it is on Rogue. And people instantly treat things nicer. So treat things nicer.
Yeah. Okay, so if somebody has a 10-pound plate on the bar at your gym and they're ghosting the bar from overhead, just dropping it and bending the plates, like, do you physically kill them? And if so, how many and where have you put the bodies?
So it's 0. It's circumstantial, honestly.
Obviously, that was mostly a joke. Don't incriminate yourself on my account.
People they do that, and I watch. Like, I don't like it. There's two ways you get away with it. One, you get away with it because like you're just out of control and you're like dying in a workout. I'm like, okay, whatever. Or, and I've seen people do this, and it's more so my wife's mom. We train her in CrossFit, and she did the complex, the hang clean, shoulder overhead, right, for the open, and she's in the 65 category. So she had our training bar and I don't know, something on, but she like dropped it, just like opens her hands, drops it overhead in celebration. And I said nothing because like that's a cool moment. That's a cool moment. Yeah. So like if that's the situation and they got 10s on, like don't ruin that moment just because I'll buy another set of 10s.
Yeah, of course. In a moment like that, you know what? I can replace the 10s as well. However, I do get scared when people drop those plates from overhead and the bar goes sideways. And
for somebody else? Yeah, I've had people get hit. So the sleeve on the end, I've had other members get hit in the ankle with that sleeve, and it looks like they got shot by a sniper. Like. And I've seen that more than once. So yeah, it is dangerous. Like,
yeah.
And like people
the bar just bounces.
Yeah, it just bounces and then flies into somebody else. I've seen it, and it's not great. So hopefully that doesn't happen to you guys.
No, because none of our perfect members would ever drop a bar with a 10 or 15
you can hurt somebody else.
Yeah.
And then you feel bad.
So we don't have to worry about that here, Todd, because I know no one would do that. Anyway.
We're at about a minute left. On the
yes, I just want to thank you again, Todd, for coming in. I want to respect the hour that told you we would keep this to and let you go. Good. I'm sure you got to get that sleep in so you can train hard again tomorrow.
Yeah, I do,
But I would love to have you in again. We could talk about some different topics. And
Yeah.
I know,
Totally.
I thought Marissa was coming to join us tonight, but she's more than welcome anytime.
She would be good to talk nutrition.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were just talking about some of the guests we're going to have on, topics we want to go over. And I can tell, obviously, from talking to you tonight, that we could go down a lot of rabbit holes and have some pretty fun discussions.
Poll your members, see what they want to hear about.
You know, we've been trying to pull them, and they haven't been answering.
Oh, that's okay.
Guys,
You know, like,
put it down in the comment
Just be
section.
consistent. They'll get around to
I
it.
get more text messages from people that listen to the podcast that aren't even members of the gym. And I'm like, okay, thank you, sir. I will ask that question. And then,
That's good.
but, alrighty. I guess
That's it.
that's about a wrap.
Yeah.
The video's done.
Yeah.
So,
I think it turned off.
well, until
right.
next time, stay tuned. Remember to eat your vegetables, drink your water, and look both ways before you cross the road.
prep
Subscribe,
back.
like, hit the bell so you
Oh
get
yeah, do all that
notified.
stuff that. Oh
It
yeah.
helps grow the channel, and that way you guys can do more fun things like this.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. All right. Have a good one.